Hello and welcome back to Sharon from Vivid Days. Today you're going to see me attempt to make this glass vase beautiful and vibrant with resin. I had an idea in mind. I wanted to add some opaque colours. I knew I wanted this bluey colour and contrasting purples and pinks, and if I was to do this all again I would do things slightly different. You have to remember when you are looking at embellishing any kind of glass and you've got it on one of these turners, I had to adapt my turner so that it would take the weight of this vase. You apply a little bit of resin. Now for me, I was controlling the area. You might want to tape over the ends, but because this was going to be a glass vase and I'm not going to be sipping over it, I just wanted to have a go at controlling it. The colours I'm using are all Resin 8 colours, and I will list them all in my description. When I'm putting them on as they are now, I'm just thinking about varying the colour, varying where it comes, and then the resin turner will keep evening it out and it can create its own effects. It didn't quite get to the end and I wasn't feeling it, so that's where I come in with my fingers very soon to try and help the resin go to areas where it wasn't before. So if I was doing this again, I would put my solid colour base blue to start with, make sure there's an even coverage, and then I would come in with a little bit of colour, knowing that it was going to move, it's going to shift, it's going to create its own effects, but I would be okay with that. So intuitively, I just went in with my fingers, going up and down, trying to even it out, knowing that by doing this, I was going to lose the brightness of the colours. And I'm thinking, oh, I don't want it to go grey. But just kept working with it because certain pigments will separate a little bit because I'm not mixing it in too much. It's going to keep running around. But once I'd got it all covered, there was a little bit of resin colour in each of my tubs. So I went in there and just added a few more. And you can see it started to sort itself out. Some of the colours were popping through. And I was thinking, where do I take this? And I envisaged coming back on the next level and adding more colour to it to help make it pop. I actually quite like some of the gentleness of some of the colours. But you can see my deluxe, really posh candle holders that I made with Jessaminites, just helping the weight of my turner keep it all level. Coming in with my torch now just to make sure that there are no air bubbles. And at this point I thought, it's probably not a great base, so sometimes that's liberating because I come in and I play, and I had my stick and I started creating a little bit of pattern. I cleaned the base of my vase with some alcohol, and that's what you saw me doing, just tidying it up. And as I was going to leave it, I thought, do you know what if I come and add some resin dye to it? So I picked 3 colours, which was a red, a purple, and there's a really nice bright pink. I added 1 or 2 dots of blue and 1 or 2 dark dots of purple, but I didn't want to add too much dark colour. But what I loved when I was just thinking, you know what, it's done anyway, the base layer, it's not going to be a good one. It opens up creative freedom to experiment and explore. And because they are transparent, the below colours were coming through and you're starting to create some nice effects. So I thought, well, what if I dragged my little stick through it and make it look like it belongs together? Maybe I can help create some little bleedings of colour. Maybe it's going to add some value or not at all. And as I started doing this, I really enjoyed the look that I was getting. The resin kept turning, so it created some of its own natural effects. At the bottom is probably where it was more grey colour from the mixing of the base pigments together. So I decided to do some swirls. I torched it through and then I let it sit. And I was pleasantly surprised by the colours that still came through. And I really love how the resin dye had separated, contracted and pulled back, and it created its own unique effects. So I wanted to add a little bit of bling. This came just from a craft store. It didn't fit all the way around. There's a ½ centimetre gap, but I was able to patch that up and it looked good. I then wanted to focus with the resin dye, the same colours I put on before. I put clear on to start with, and the idea was I'd focus the colour on the base of the glass vase where it wasn't quite as vibrant a colour. So applied my clear, it had a little bit of super sparkle white in, I torched it, and then I just applied the resin dye and allow it to do its thing. I concentrated only on the bottom half because I really like the lightness and delicateness of the top part, and that pop of colour, the contrast between the pinks and the purples is just divine. I used my fingers to try and bleed it up. I wasn't trying to create any sort of specific effect, but it was more just a feeling. If I was to wiggle it up, the dye would come up a little bit. There wouldn't be such an obvious transition between the second layer of colour and the top line of colour. The resin itself would help the bling that I attached adhere to it, and look at those amazing effects that still came through that resin dye. So I achieved a brighter, more sparkly pop of colour, and I absolutely love this. I mean, it looks like underwater world, somewhere where Ariel will live. I don't know, let me know what you think. Remember, at any stage you could have stopped this, but look at those effects. If you think this video has helped you, remember, thumbs up, subscribe, share, comments are always welcome. Let me know what you think to this simple project. Let me know if you're going to give it a go by hashtag Sharon and inspire me, and let me know what you think to the depth in this piece. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for hanging out with me, and enjoy the kangaroos that are on the end of my driveway. Bye bye.